Hello and welcome back to our Lord of the Rings LCG solo progression series. And today's quest is A Shadow of the Past, which is the first scenario in the Black Riders Deluxe expansion. And this is the first scenario in the Lord of the Rings saga. And so the Lord of the Rings saga is comprised of 18 scenarios spread out over 6 deluxe expansions. So just like the books was formatted in 6 parts, the Lord of the Rings saga will be formatted in 6 parts. And the Black Riders deals with the events from part 1, which is Frodo leaving the Shire and eventually escaping the Ringwraiths at the Fords of Bruinen. Now, as of 2023, FFG has repackaged the Lord of the Rings saga, and so they've taken the Black Riders and the Road Darkens and combined it into what they're calling the Fellowship of the Rings, or the Fellowship of the Ring. And so the Black Riders no longer exist as a product that you can purchase. But a quick reminder, in the series, we're playing through each quest in chronological order of the game's initial release, and we'll only be using player cards that were available at the time of this quest release. I'm calling this deck the Stacked Hiders partly because it rhymes with the Black Riders, but also because we're trying to pass hide tests in this quest. This is where Frodo and his friends are trying to make their way to Buckleberry Ferry, and the Black Riders are on their trail, and we're going to try to hide from them. And so we've stacked the deck so that we can successfully pass all the hide tests and never engage a single Nazgul. Now, sometimes, when I first started playing this, I think most people are going to use Sam and Pippin and Merry and probably pass up on Fatty Bulger, but it's fun and thematic to use an all-Hobbit deck. But I found like I struggled sometimes to always do well in the hide tests with that deck. And so we've constructed a deck that is thematic in the sense that we'll just be able to successfully hide from the Black Riders. We don't want to engage any of them or fail the hide tests. We are including Sam, speaking of hobbits from the Black Riders Deluxe expansion. He was released in this Deluxe expansion. 8 threat, 3 willpower, 1 attack, 1 defense, 3 health. And his response says, after you engage an enemy with a higher engagement cost than your threat, ready Sam Gamgee. He gets +1 willpower, +1 attack, and +1 defense until the end of the round. Let's get to the quest and see how we do. Good opening hand. I usually want Light of Valinor or Fast Hitch. Since I have Fast Hitch, I will keep this opening hand. And just like the Hobbit saga had a Baggins-sphered Bilbo Baggins, now we have the Fellowship Sphere. And so here's Frodo Baggins. When you play these saga quests, you have to use the Fellowship card that comes with it. And so the One Ring tells us during setup, the first player claims the One Ring and attaches it to the ring bearer. Attached hero does not count against the hero limit. The first player gains control of attached hero. So we have a 4th hero, just like the Hobbit saga. We can use Frodo's resources to pay for neutral cards and also for Fellowship sphered cards. He has a very thematic response. Spend 1 Fellowship resource and exhaust the attached One Ring to cancel the effects of an encounter card just revealed from the encounter deck. Shuffle that card back into the encounter deck and reveal another card. So if Ringwraith came out and you didn't want to deal with it, you could exhaust the One Ring, shuffle the Ringwraith back into the encounter deck. But thematically, yes, we got away, but at what price? The ring is treacherous, and so another treachery comes out. So really neat stuff there. 3 is company. The ring Frodo Baggins inherited from his uncle Bilbo is indeed the One Ring. After conferring with the wizard Gandalf, Frodo decides to leave the Shire and take the ring to Rivendell. For setup, we set Buckleberry Ferry aside out of play. Here is Buckleberry Ferry, and it says at the bottom, after it leaves play as an explored location, the players win the game. So that's the ultimate goal of this quest. Then we add 1 Black Rider to the staging area. Here is the Black Rider. 35 engagement, 4 threat. It says hide 2. So in the rules insert, it tells us that when a card is revealed and added to the staging area that has the hide keyword, we have to take a hide test. But because he was not revealed, we don't take a hide test during setup. This tells us to add Black Rider, but it neglected to say reveal and add. So we don't have to do the hide test at this point. And then we make Bag End the active location. Here is Bag End, so charming. And appropriately 0 threat. Response after bag end leaves play. Each player draws 1 card for each Hobbit hero he controls. So the game is steering us in that all Hobbit lineup direction, but we're happy to draw 2 cards since we do control 2 Hobbits. We have to make 1 progress to advance. We don't want to advance too soon, so we'll have to be careful with this total of 4 progress. When a player fails a hide test, which is a big no-no, we don't want to do that at all. Each Nazgul enemy in the staging area engages that player. And that's going to be, that text is on stage 1, 2, and 3. There are 5 Nazgul, and so eventually, if we failed a hide test and all 5 of them were out, or even 4 or 3 or even 1, we could be trampled really quickly. So we will be passing all the hide tests. The players cannot advance unless bag end is in the victory display. Maybe a little confusing because to put the progress on 3's company, you have to have cleared bag end. But, you could play Westroad Traveler, and there is a location in the encounter deck that switches places with the active location. So that's why that maybe is there. Frodo's friends insist on joining him in his adventure, but danger finds them sooner than anticipated when Black Riders appear in the Shire. So here we go. Here's the Lord of the Rings Saga resource phase. Let's exhaust Beravor to draw 2 cards. And we will pay for Light of Valinor and attach it to Glorfindel. We'll attach a Fast Hitch to Sam Gamgee. And boy, I almost think we could just progress past the first stage here. I think let's try that. Let's sneak attack Gandalf in. We might get just advance past stage 1, and I don't know that I've ever done that. But let's lower our threat by 5. And let me just kind of do some math and think about this. I did that during the quest phase, during the action window before committing characters. Okay, so we will quest with Glorfindel and Sam and Gandalf and Frodo. And let's ready Sam. I don't know. Let's do that. Let's leave Gandalf ready. If a treachery comes out where we don't put any, there's no threat added to the staging area, we will advance. But we do have some good willpower available in case we have to take a hide test. Okay, so let's reveal the Marish. Forced after a player fails a hide test, shuffle a Nazgul enemy from the discard pile into the encounter deck if able. Well, we won't be failing hide tests. Okay, so we didn't take a hide test and we made 1 progress. And the reason I didn't commit Gandalf is because we wanted his willpower for potential hide tests. If I had committed him, we would have cleared 3's company and we would be advancing right now. But you have to be a little bit cautious with that transition between stage 1 and 2. Okay, Gandalf comes back to our hand at the end of the quest phase. We didn't take a hide test. We'll refresh and move on to the next round. Let's draw 2 cards with Beravor. And then we are going to play a good harvest and name leadership as our sphere. And we're just going to use one of Frodo's resources to help Sam to pay for Steward of Gondor. We'll attach that to Sam. And we will exhaust Steward of Gondor to get the 2 resources back. Let's put Fast Hitch out and put it onto Frodo. And that is it. We're going to quest. And we'll ready our hobbits. You always want to ready your hobbits before you do staging, because if you do a hide test, we're in staging. If you do a hide test, there's not an action window until after you've discarded the threat. And so you need to ready your heroes if you want to commit them. Okay, we reveal Lure of the Ring, which is going to surge. When revealed, the first player must either exhaust the 1 ring or raise his threat by 3. So we have to choose one of those. Let's just exhaust the 1 ring. And it surges into Piercing Cry, which has the keyword peril. And peril just means in multiplayer that you can't seek aid from your partners. So in solo, it doesn't mean anything to us. But when revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a Nazgul enemy. Either add it to the staging area or put it into play engaged with the first player. So we don't want it to be engaged with us. Let's grab a Nazgul, Black Rider. And there's 5 of them total. So we'll add it to the staging area. Now it does not reveal. This says either add it to the staging area. So the hide test is not, we don't have to take a hide test in this case. Okay, well, as things stand, we just go on to quest resolution, and our threat goes up by 3. And we will refresh and move on to the next round. Bearvor draws 2 cards. We'll exhaust Steward of Gondor. Let's pay for Celebrian Stone and attach it to Sam. And so he gets a willpower boost of 2 now. How much do I have? I'm just going to do a little bit of math. What do I have? Yeah. Let's go ahead and pay for an Aether Swordsman. Each Outlands character you control gets +1 willpower. And so he's going to quest for 2. All right, let's quest. Again, a Glorfindel does not exhaust to quest. We'll ready our hobbits. And we will reveal Pathless Country. Pathless Country gets +4 quest points while in the staging area. We were unsuccessful in the quest. We're just not taking high tests yet for some reason. Refresh and moving on to the next round. We'll exhaust Bearvor to draw 2 cards. We'll exhaust Steward of Gondor. We will play Daron's Runes and draw 2 cards. And we'll discard a Good Harvest. We don't need that many Good Harvests. Okay, so we are going to pay for Faramir. And then we are going to sneak attack Gandalf into play and lower our threat by 5. And we will quest. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to exhaust Faramir. Action, exhaust Faramir to choose a player. Each character controlled by that quest gets +1 willpower until the end of the phase. I've gotten to where I don't mention it anymore, but we're bringing Gandalf into play in the quest phase. So we're going to exhaust Faramir, and I'm going to click Prevent Refresh. And so I'm going to boost each of these characters, and this helps me to boost the actual characters. It helps me because of hide tests, but I don't want to constantly be doing Faramir's actions, so I'm going to leave him constantly exhausted because his purpose in this deck is to always exhaust during the quest phase. And so it's just easier for me just to add a +1 willpower to all my characters. Well, let's quest and see what kind of willpower we can get out here. Okay, so we don't need this much. Maybe let's leave Gandalf ready. Okay, so we'll ready our hobbits. Yeah, we might progress past Three's Company at this point. We're not for sure. Okay, we will reveal Green Hill Country. While Green Hill Country is the active location, characters get +1 willpower while committed to a hide test. Okay, so no hide tests yet. So this is not the stacked hiders after all. Okay, so that's staging. Now before quest resolution, I want to clear Bag End, I think. So I'm going to play Elrond's Council and lower my threat by 3, and I'll boost Sam. And so that means I made 2 progress. Response: after Bag End leaves play, each player draws 1 card for each Hobbit hero he controls. That goes to the victor's play. We will draw 2 cards. Didn't mean to draw 3. Let's shuffle that deck. And now during the travel phase, we'll decide to travel to Pathless Country because it gets a boost from being in the staging area. Okay, Gandalf came back to our hand at the end of questing. We will refresh, and we'll lower the values. See, so Sam gets +3. +2 from Celebrian Stone, and then +1 from Faramir. All right, next round. So Steward of Gondor, Beowulf draws 2 cards. There is Asphaloth, a single copy in this deck. Let's play Daeron's Runes, drawing 2 cards and discarding Light of Valinor. Let's pay for Asphaloth and put that onto Glorfindel. We'll exhaust Asphaloth to put... Well, we'll see. I think it might be good to clear out the Marish over 2 rounds. Let's pay for Ithir Swordsman. And so now they are boosted for +3, assuming Faramir's action. And let's go ahead and sneak attack Gandalf into play, and we'll advance here. We'll lower our threat by 5. And quest. And I think we're... Let's see, that was probably more than we need. So if a Nazgul comes out, I wouldn't advance. And I think I want to advance here. So let's quest with the Ithir Swordsman. Okay, we're going to ready Sam and Frodo. That all looks good, and we will reveal Hunting for the Ring, Doom 2. And it says, when revealed, starting with the last player, each player must either return a Nazgul enemy engaged with him to the staging area or make a hide 2 test. We got to do a hide 2 test. We don't have a Nazgul engaged with us. So to do a hide test, this is the first time we've done that. We discard cards from the encounter deck equal to the number. So hide 2 means we discard 2 cards from the encounter deck, and we'll total the threat of those discarded cards. Before discarding those cards, we commit characters to the hide test by exhausting them, and we total their willpower. If our willpower is equal or greater than the threat discarded, we pass the hide test. So now this can happen a lot where you take a hide test and then we advance. You want to be careful. This is the real fragile part of the quest and the way the deck is constructed, but we're fine. So we need to just pass a hide 2 test. Now the worst thing that can happen is we discard 2 Black Riders, and that would be 8 threat. It's very unlikely that that's going to happen. So let's just say the more likely worst thing is a single Black Rider and maybe Stock Road, which has 3 threat. And so we'll try to, if we want to know that we're going to pass this, all we need is to commit 8. So let's think about this. I think I'm fine with 7 here. That feels good to me. So we're going to commit 7. This is 4 and 3. So we'll leave Gandalf ready and Sam ready. And so let's discard 2 cards. 1, there's a 4, and 0. Okay, so if it had been 2 Black Riders, we would have lost, and these guys would have come down and trampled us. But the odds of that are just very extremely unlikely. So we pass the hide test. Nothing happens. There's no trigger or anything from passing the hide test. We just passed it. We will make 8 progress. So 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have cleared. 3 is company. And so now I'll get to show you how you have to be ready for advancing. Shortcut to mushrooms. As Frodo watched, he saw something dark pass across the lighter space between 2 trees and then halt. It looked like the black shade of a horse, led by a smaller black shadow. The black shadow stood close to the point where they had left the path, and it swayed from side to side. Frodo thought he heard the sound of snuffling, The shadow bent to the ground and then began to crawl towards him. When revealed, the first player searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a black rider, reveals it, this cannot be canceled, and adds it to the staging area. Just for fun, I'm going to go ahead and grab the one from the discard pile. I'd like to have all the black riders come out. So we do, it says, when revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a black rider. I just got it out of the encounter deck. I do have to shuffle my deck as part of this. It does say shuffle the deck. All right, so we revealed him. So we have to take a hide 2 test. So that's, you can see how that works. Stage 1, we had to take a hide test. We advanced, so we have to be ready for a double hide test. All right. So this also says when a player makes a hide test on this stage 2, add 1 to the total threat for each ally that player controls. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So whatever I discard here, I'm at least going to have 4 threat to deal with. But let's commit Sam and Gandalf, which is 6 plus 5. So that's 11, but I have 4 that's coming out here. So 4 plus whatever this is. 4 plus 3 is 7. So our 11 is higher still, and 1. So that was 3 plus 1 plus 1, 2, 3, 4. So that was 8. So we passed the hide test, no problem. When a player fails a hide test, each Nazgul enemy in the staging area engages that player. We did not want that to happen. You can see what would occur. All right, let's go ahead and travel to Green Hill Country. And we're going to exhaust Asphaloth to put 2 progress on the Marish. Gandalf came back to hand at the end of questing. Refresh, next round. We'll exhaust Steward of Gondor, drawing 2 cards with Barivor. And remember, everybody's got the boost from Faramir right now. Okay, let's attach another fast hitch to Sam. Let's play a Frodo's Intuition. Each hero you control gets +1 willpower until the end of the round, not phase. Draw 1 card for each Hobbit hero you control. So +1 willpower for all of our heroes, and we draw 2 cards because we control 2 hobbits. Then we'll attach Hobbit Pipes to Sam and Frodo, and I'll show you what those do. So it came out in the Black Riders Deluxe expansion. It's an attachment attached to a Hobbit, whether it's a hero or an ally. Limit 1 per character. Response: after your threat is reduced by an event card such as Elrond's Council, exhaust Hobbit Pipe to draw a card. We're in planning. Let's go ahead and exhaust Asphaloth just to put 2 progress on the Marish and clear it. Then we are in planning. Let's play a Good Harvest to name Spirit. And we're going to pay for the 3rd Ithir Swordsman. Remember, they have +3 plus Faramir's boost. Again, I'm just being lazy with what I'm doing here. Okay, let's go ahead and spend a resource from Glorfindel's, well, actually from Sam's, because we're in planning. So we're going to pay for, actually we'll use Frodo. We'll use his resource, converting it through Good Harvest to Spirit. We're going to pay for Dwarven Tomb and grab out of our discard pile a Spirit card, which is going to be Elrond's Council. We'll save this resource on Glorfindel. Then we will pay for a Warrior of Losarnak. Whoops. All that looks good. Okay, so during quest phase, we'll commit to the quest. And we'll ready Frodo and Sam. And I'm going to leave one of these Ithir Swordsmen ready, I think. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, we're going to play Elrond's Council after committing characters, lowering our threat by 3, and boosting Sam. And we'll exhaust these Hobbit pipes whenever we lower a threat from using an event card. Each one of those draws a card when we exhaust it. Okay, so we will reveal Piercing Cry. When revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a Nazgul enemy. Add it to the staging area. Do not reveal it. Add it. So we don't do this hide test. So a fourth Nazgul has come into play. And we made 16 progress. So 1, 2, 3. Actually, what we'll do here is I'm going to pay for and a Radagast Cunning quest action. Choose an enemy in the staging area. Until the end of the phase, that enemy does not contribute its threat. And the reason I want to do this, I do want to progress because then Buckleberry Ferry will come out and we can travel here this round. Okay, so we just played this quest action during the action window after staging. We did not do a hide test. And so now quest resolution, and we made 20 progress. So that's going to be 17 on a shortcut to mushrooms. So this leaves play. If we had to take a hide test, we would have the boost from Green Hill Country. That leaves play, and we advance to the final stage, Escape to Buckland. When revealed, add Buckleberry Ferry to the staging area. Here it is. And it says, after several close calls with Black Riders, Frodo can tell they are hunting him. The Hobbit's only hope of escaping their dangerous pursuers is to cross the Brandywine River. If they can just make it to Buckleberry Ferry before they are caught. When revealed, the first player searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a Black Rider, reveals it, and adds it to the staging area. So this one's revealed. Our final Black Rider is revealed. And this one's, we'll just take away this boost here. So we have to take a hide 2 test. There's no boosting of the threat here. There's nothing in play. There's nothing on this particular. It's just stage 2 that boosts for each ally. When a player fails a hide test, it's the same as before. You get trampled. Response: after a player makes a successful hide test, place X progress on a non-unique location in play. X is twice the number of players in the game, but we just have one unique location. So we have to take a hide 2 test. Let's commit Frodo and Sam, and we're going to be just fine with that. Then we'll ready Sam. Well, actually, we don't ready Sam. There we go. So that's going to be 8 plus 4. That's 12. So hide 2, 0, and 3. So 12 is better than 3. And so we passed the hide test. Now during travel, we want to travel to Buckleberry Ferry. But we needed to ready Sam. We had 2 options to ready Sam. There's an action window that exists after you commit characters in a hide test, after you discard the cards, then there's an action window that's created. And so let's just say during that action window, we readied Sam. But we were in quest resolution, so we also had an action window here, but there's not one until after the travel opportunity. So we had, just be sure to play the game right? So we readied Sam. And so to travel here to Buckleberry Ferry, I want to make sure I didn't just discard a card in accident. Yeah, these are the 2 for the hide 2 from here. So I want to travel here. Immune to player card effects. I can't use Asphaloth on Buckleberry Ferry. While there is at least one other location in play, the players cannot travel here. So this is, it could elongate the game if every round a location comes out. But Asphaloth helps us with that because you can't travel here until this is the singular location in play. Travel. The first player must make a hide 3 test to travel here. So we'll do that. We'll take a hide 3 test. So that's going to be 8 plus 5 plus 5. So 18, and we're doing hide 3. 1, 2, 3. Stacked hiders, right? So we did make that hide. That hide 3 wasn't a problem. We traveled to Buckleberry Ferry. We will refresh. Our threat is lower than the engagement cost of these Nazgul. Next round. And let's lower everybody's willpower to where they should be. Just the +1. Okay, Steward of Gondor. And then we will... I'm trying to see, what do I have in my discard pile? Yeah, let's exhaust Bearvor to draw 2 cards. We will play an Amphalos Herdsman. I don't think I boosted everybody all the way. So we actually did better last round than I thought, I think, because it should be +3 from the Aether and then +1 from Faramir. Actually, I think I might have just taken it off at the beginning of the round here. All right, we're out of Good Harvest. I think we've used all 3. 1, 2, 3, yeah. So we will fall short of playing all of our allies, and that's fine. We will play Gandalf from hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And lower our threat by 5. And now we go on to the quest phase. So that time I played Gandalf during the planning phase. If you sneak attack him in, you always do it during this action window. During this action window, before committing characters, let's play Elrond's Council to lower our threat by 3 and boost Sam. We'll exhaust these Hobbit Pipes to draw a card from lowering our threat. We still have an action window here. Let's play Daron's Runes to draw 2 cards and discard Faramir. Let's play Frodo's Intuition to boost all of our heroes and draw a card for each Hobbit hero we control. And then we'll go ahead and play using Dwarven Tomb. We'll play that twice. I accidentally deleted or discarded this Light of Valinor. We will have fished out Elrond's Council twice and played it twice. So we actually get our threat down to 0. And we get to boost Sam for +2 more. You can play that multiple times. We did Dwarven Tomb twice. And then, of course, Elrond's Council is free. All right, well, let's go for it. Let's quest. We'll ready Sam and Frodo. And we will reveal Piercing Cry. When revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a Nazgul enemy. There aren't any more. Either add it to the staging area or put into play, engage with the first player, shuffle the encounter deck. Okay. Now, obviously, you have to shuffle the encounter deck, but it doesn't matter unless you're playing with the Denethor deck. All right, so we made 28 progress. And in fact, oh wait, I was going to play Radagast Cunning, but I don't have another lore resource. Okay, so we made 28 progress. That's it. After Buckleberry Ferry leaves play as an explored location, then the players win the game. So we won it in 7 rounds. Kind of a longer game is 9. I'm not sure that I've won it in 6 before, just because I'm so cautious with the transition between stage 1 and 2. But we've almost drawn our entire hand. But that is it. That's the quest. I think we pretty much saw everything. I think we saw everything. Oh, the only thing we didn't see is the biggest issue with the deck for us. The thing that could ruin our day. I've never lost because of it. But in theory, this could happen. The Black Steed, it surges. When revealed, attached to a Nazgul enemy in play if able. This counts as a mount attachment with the text limit 1 per enemy. Attached enemy gets -10 engagement. And so if one of these comes out, suddenly the engagement cost of the Black Riders is 25, or a Black Rider is 25 instead of 35. So early game, that can be a problem. If you got that in stage 1, suddenly, our starting threat is 23, not far off. So if one of those comes out and it surges into another Black Rider or something, we're going to have one of those, the 25 engagement cost Black Rider, engage us. But Glorfindel can defend against that, or anyway, that could happen. It's never happened to me, but that's a possibility. It's a pretty big encounter deck, and so chances are that won't occur, and it never has happened to me. Well, hope you enjoyed the playthrough, and I hope you'll stick with it as we continue with A Knife in the Dark next time. I really love the Lord of the Rings saga. It's the best stuff in the Lord of the Rings LCG. So really pumped to continue to play these quests. And thank you for joining me. I hope you have a great day. Bye.